Please be advised, if you have not seen the movie that is about to be reviewed in this video, stop this video right now, go and watch the movie and then come back, because there are going to be massive plot spoilers throughout the course of this video. One and all, and welcome back to my little slice of heaven that is the video vault. We've got a fairly decent one today. This is 12 Rounds 2, released in 2013, and it stars Randy Orton. Originally, it was actually meant to. WWE did in fact approach CM Punk if he was interested in doing it, but unfortunately, scheduling conflicts with the European tour that WWE were about to embark on, Punk had to obviously say no, that he couldn't do it because he wanted to do the European tour, and they cast Randy Orton instead. Now, this is, of course, a follow-up to 2009's 12 Rounds. Before we get into the review, though, if you like what you see on this channel, you click that subscribe button, you dangle on that notification cowbell, and you select the all, just so you know when a new video is released. So that being said, so let's get on with the show. So as I said, 12 Rounds 2, it stars Randy Orton, but also stars Cindy Busby, Tom Stevens, Brian Muskin, and Venus Terzo. Pretty well put together cast for this one. I think there's a lot of really great chemistry throughout the entire course of this movie between the characters, but we will get into that. So our movie starts off, we have Randy, who's playing Nick Malloy, and his partner Sarah. They're out, just on date night. They're having a little bit of squabble about, seeing a chick flick. Randy say, no, I didn't like it, and Sarah's basically trying to call up a little bit of BS because I think she's like saying, no, there's bits of it you were chuckling at, and he's just trying to cover it up. And they end up coming across a car accident where there's two cars overturned. Randy manages to get two of the people involved out of their vehicles into safety, but the third one unfortunately dies at the scene after paramedics and everything else show up. So very tragic, but heart-stopping way to get the show rolling, because you think, it's like, oh, is he gonna make it? Is he gonna make it? But then you sort of think back a little bit to the first one, and it's like, oh yeah, someone unfortunately is not going to make it. This time around, it's just innocent people involved in a car accident. Well, two innocent people involved in a car accident, and Randy's just doing his job as an EMT, trying to save everybody, but alas, he cannot. So we fast forward a year, which is always the usual premise in these movies, which is pretty cool actually, because then it just sort of sets the way things are going down. So Nick is about to head out on his shift with his partner Jay, and I've got to say, Randy and Colin Lawrence, they have a really good chemistry in this scene. It's only like they're only on screen together for about 5 minutes, but they've got this really good like brotherhood chemistry that they portray really well. They get called out to an abandoned warehouse area. This is towards the end of the shift, when they come across, they basically think is just a junkie who's, disorientated and possibly nearly ODing. He's, having seizures and all that in the back of an ambulance, and then, we get the infamous phone call. I want to play a game. No, it's nothing like that. It is, our mystery protagonist. I will say mystery antagonist. Sorry, I will say mystery for this time at this point in time, because he never gives himself, never have the revelation until midway through the movie. Whereas with the first one, it was straight away. It's just like, oh yeah, because he just says, hey, remember me? But yeah, a bomb goes off in the back of the ambulance. Jay survives after being engulfed in flames, so he hangs on, so that's cool. You always like to see. You don't like seeing innocent characters just get killed for no reason. And we find out later on that about the guy in the ambulance they're attending to. So that is the start of that was round one. Round two basically is, Randy has to find a car. Okay, it seems pretty simple enough, but you've got X amount of time to do it, and if you don't do it within that amount of time, the bomb in the car will go off, and a whole horrible chain of events will take place. So, obviously, you've guessed the premise already. That, okay, well, it's in the title anyway. There's 12 rounds of, I guess you could sort of call them puzzles or tasks that Randy has to complete to sort of get an idea as to actually what's going on. Because at the minute, like, he's got no clue. It's like, why are you making me do this? Why do I have to do this? And it just he eventually figures it out that, hang on, this is to do with that car accident from a year ago. Two guys, they lived, but the female passenger unfortunately died, and he's pieced it together like, hey, the dude on the other end of the phone is the husband of the deceased. So that takes it takes a little bit to get through, but there's no, unlike the first 12 rounds, there's no ulterior motive for the villain in this movie. This is just straight up, he's going to do whatever he can to get his revenge. There's no side story, there's no side angle of the guy wants revenge, but he's making them do all these things so he can get this part of a plan done. And this is just, it's just a straight up revenge story. And I've got to say that, let me get to my notes. Brian Markinson, who plays Patrick Haller, he is absolutely incredible. Like, his deliverance of his dialogue in his scenes is just so convincing. You are convinced that this guy is out for blood. His motives are driven by pain, suffering, grief, all of that. It's probably one of the best performances in the whole movie. Even Randy, I think, even though he's a little bit miscast, I think his delivery of his dialogue though is so full of drive and passion and just amps it up. Like, you get what he wants to do. You're getting that, he's freaking the hell out because he wants to save his wife from this crazed madman. You're invested in the characters a lot with this movie. You want to see Randy succeed, which is kind of funny because at the time in WWE, Randy was a heel. He was the bad guy. So, but then again, they swap heel and babyface all the time. But Randy he's very, very convincing in this movie. There are some nitpicks, of course. There's always going to be nitpicks. No movie is completely and utterly flawless. Every movie has its flaws. Like, for a start, how did Patrick get Randy's cell phone number? I know, minute detail, but they never go into that. It's like the first thing you see an unknown number, like, you answer, it's like, who the hell are you and how did you get my number? Sort of thing. They never go into that. But, again, minor details. The cops in this movie, especially Venus Terzo, who plays the lead Detective Mackenzie, they've all pretty much come to the conclusion that, Randy's the bad guy and all this, but she's seen something on the security camera footage and all the technological stuff. She's questioning from the get-go. Like, hang on, are you sure that an EMT can do all this sort of stuff? Like, jamming signals to cell phones and ankle monitors and, you know, manipulating camera footage and all that. You got to be pretty clued on to be able to do all that stuff. And she's not convinced that Randy's the one doing it all. She's already got in her mind, just for the way watching him on the security camera, that, you know, there's a master of puppets that's pulling the strings. See what I did there? There's only a few people who are going to get that reference. But basically, yeah, it's just pure revenge. It's a pure, absolute revenge plot. And it's a pretty entangled web as well, because compared to the first 12 rounds where it was just on Cena's character alone, there's other parties involved. There's Tommy Wallace, the guy who was driving the other car. There was, you know, our first victim, who we think is the junkie, but is actually the bouncer of the nightclub. You know, the lawyer and the judge that managed to get Tommy's charges downgraded from manslaughter from vehicular manslaughter to reckless endangerment, which resulted in him, instead of getting 20 years in prison, was like just a year in rehab. You know, the governor, you know, pulling, again, master of puppets, pulling strings to get the charges lessened. So there is a whole convoluted backstory, and unfortunately, you know, Nick was just, as you know, was said over the phone, you know, it's just a good Samaritan in the right place at the right time, sort of thing. So it's kind of, I can understand, like, you're wanting to get payback on those people who are involved, but I don't get why Nick's been targeted as well. Like, yeah, he's there, he's doing his job, he's trying to save these people. Unfortunately, one of them dies for no fault of his own. And it's just, well, you were there, you're to blame as well. It's like, well, hang on, this guy's just doing his job. Like, he's trying to save, you know, these people. But again, minor, small nitpick that doesn't quite really make any sense to me. But anyway, it's just, yeah, just being in the place at that time. So we get this, we get to the really, the big finale. It's gonna, apparently, it's all gonna go, they're all going out with a bang. Like, no one's gonna be, the intention is that no one's going to be left alive. As Hella has both Nick and Sarah in the back of his SUV, they're driving towards the intersection where the accident happened in the very opening. So these two scenes, you know, they bookend each other. It starts with a car crash, it ends with a car crash. So it gets bookended, which is cool. I mean, I like that sort of stuff. We have a really cool fight scene between both Nick and Hella, where it's like Randy manages to get himself free and says, you know, well, what would you do to save your wife? And Hella, as soon as Hella answers with anything, Randy manages to snap free, and, you know, they have this tussle in the front part of the car, but then Randy manages to get Hella's gun, blows out the back window, and he and Sarah both roll out of the car before, you know, it's rigged to blow. And so the car blows up, Hella is killed, everybody else comes in, and all the cops and that, they all come in. Detective McKenzie just said, good work, you know, it's over, it's finished. This all takes place over the course of one evening. Everything is on a timer as well. It's like, oh, you got 10 minutes to do this, you got half an hour for this, you got however long. So all the tasks are like got to be done within a certain amount of time, or else a bomb's going to go off, and that would have ended everything real quick if it couldn't get to the third point on time and it just went kaboom. But yeah, look, 12 Rounds 2 is enjoyable. I actually kind of maybe like this one just a little bit more than the first one. I know I've just upset my buddy Ned because he's a huge fan of John Cena. Not taking anything away from Cena's performance at all, because, you know, he's really good. But I think the star of the first 12 Rounds movie was actually the Irish dude. Randy, even though he doesn't quite look the part, the way he delivers his lines throughout the whole movie, you're invested, like the emotion that he's putting into his performance is dialed up to 11. Anyone who's seen This Is Spinal Tap is going to get that reference. And yes, like there's not much in the way of character arcs or anything, except for Tommy Wallace, who assists Randy in quite a lot of this movie. Like he's, you know, party boy, son of a governor, drinky, snorty, smoky, sort of party up, I guess, you know, being involved in the car crash at the beginning of the movie. Like he has this sort of character arc, I guess. He goes from this party boy is like, oh, you know, carefree and whatever else, to actually accepting responsibility and admitting to his actions. And I think a lot of that comes around when he actually tries to save his dad at the sugar factory, where like you can see it's like, holy crap, you know, there is actually a caring human being here, and he's, you know, going to do whatever it takes to sort of, you know, right his wrongs. So that's some really cool character development in there, I think. Again, like there are some nitpicks in this movie. I'm not gonna lie, it's not perfect. Again, the cast is pretty much almost on point. Randy just sort of is just Randy. I'm not the biggest fan of Randy Orton. I think his technical work, he's very technical in the ring. Like you watch a Randy Orton match, yeah, a lot of times you're gonna nearly want to fall asleep because, you know, it is sort of, it's very technological, it's very slow paced, it's very there's not much happening when you're used to the, you know, the fast pace, the flips and flops and everything else. But I think if you're a purist, you know, you like the technical wrestling sort of stuff, then you're invested in it for that amount of time. Like I didn't really see much into Randy until I watched the latest Backlash, where him and Edge had that very technical wrestling match, and then this just made me go, you know, hang on, Randy's actually not as stale as, you know, what I used to think he was. Because me and my buddies, we used to call him Blandy because there wasn't really much to it. It was just kind of bland. But now I see why he is what he is, because like he's very technical in the ring, he's very precise, and it's the same in this movie as well. I think if he was in like given a better direction of like where to take the character, like as I said, his dialogue delivery is absolutely amazing, because you feel the emotion, you feel like the anger that's in there, and a lot of it's like, you son of a bitch, like why are you doing this? It is amped up, it is just boom out there, you feel for those moments. But yeah, I just think there's a few choices that Randy had made. Like you're watching just Randy Orton in a promo really, but the car chase sequences are really cool, especially the one where he's trying to escape the police and he ends up in a parking garage. They have this really cool chase scene downtown that ends up in the parking garage, and that's when, you know, the lieutenant ends up being, you know, it's like, hey, I'm on your side here, like I know something's wrong. So there's some really cool character interactions and all that in there as well. But yeah, look, I enjoyed 12 rounds too. Again, I think I enjoy it maybe just that little bit more than 12 rounds 1. Again, nothing against Cena. I think he's actually a lot better in like some of the more recent stuff that he's done, like Daddy's Home or Trainwreck, you know, Trainwreck? Yeah, Trainwreck, where he can let a lot of his persona out instead of like the Marine style. Again, nothing wrong with the Marine movies. I think they're awesome. I've gone off point. But anyway, next one is going to be 12 rounds 3. Now this one's a little bit different because compared to the formula for 1 and 2, where it's like, okay, you've got 12 tasks that you have to do in order to, you know, see your loved one alive again. No, this one's just like, oh, I've only got 12 rounds of ammunition. Better let them count. So that's the only reason why that one falls under the banner of 12 rounds. It could have just been called Lockdown. It still would have been pretty good. But that one stars Dean Ambrose, and we'll get into that one then. So yeah, catch you all next time. Thank you so much for checking out the video. If you like what you see, click that subscribe button. Make sure you dangle that notification cowbell. You can hit me up on all of my social medias, which will be down in the description box below, and I shall see you all next time around.